Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Felix's Helixes. I am Karen.
And I'm Steve.
And this is episode number 9, where we're talking about, oddly enough, episode number 9. And this is the Southgate Media Group podcast, where you can find us at southgatemediagroup.com and on Facebook by searching for Southgate Media Group and also Felix's Helixes.
Absolutely.
And what episode are we talking about?
We're talking about the Mitigation of Competition. It was written by Alex Levine, who has done many episodes of the Stargate franchise, and directed by David Frazee, who has done Intelligence, Da Vinci's Inquest, and Continuum.
That's right. All these Canadians.
Who do just absolutely fantastic work.
I know, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be good when I move there in a few months. You guys know why, right? So, shall we give our ratings right up front here?
All right. This probably was one of the best episodes of the entire series as far as I was concerned. Mm-hmm. And so I gave it a 9.5 recording necklaces.
Yeah. Really great episode. I'm giving it a 9 rune inscribed doors. And I took some pictures. I don't know if you've scrolled down in the document. There's some screenshots there. I actually hand drew some of the runes and scanned in the pictures and looked on Google, searched by image on Google,
right.
And I couldn't find the runes anywhere.
Oh.
So I have no idea whether they're real or not, but I couldn't find any approximation of them on Google at all. They're not Greek, they're not Roman, they're not chemical, they're not. So I don't know what they are.
Right.
I tried about 5 of them. So if you guys know what they are, then more power to you. I tried. There's runes on the green door that they show. I'm sorry. This is the door that is in the vision that Rachel has in her eye.
Right.
There's a green door with runes carved into it. And then there's also flashes of a hanging tapestry that have runes inscribed on it. And, I tried runes from both places, and I just could not find anything about them. So, if you guys know,
Neolution hieroglyphs.
Yeah, some sort. But I couldn't find anything in real life that corresponded to them. So I was disappointed. I wanted to find out what they meant. But no, nothing of the sort. So, I'm crying. And I'll talk a little bit about, what I think that stuff is, because I think they're brilliant, by the way, the writers.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my, story titles. And, there's other stuff to talk about as well, but I have video caught the DNA star, as in video killed the radio
star.
Right? And then, 'cause you gotta have faith. Someone's lost her faith, but she should have gotten it back with Helena coming to save the day. And then exclusivity clause, as in this kind of clause. Clause came out when there was a threat to join the clone club, but she did not get entrance to it.
No.
So we have those 3 storylines and a few more. But right up front, I want to talk to you about something.
Okay.
There's 2 mythologies that have a heavy influence on this show. One of them being Leda and the Swan, obviously.
Right.
And that weighs heavily on Leda and Castor and the DNA and how both lines were birthed and that sort of thing. And the other one being the island of Dr. Moreau.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's, of course, allusions to Leda and the Swan in this because of the Swan. But there's also an allusion to the island of Dr. Moreau, I think, in this episode. Because the protagonist in the island of Dr. Moreau ends up, after the whole mess, and I'm not going to go into the big story, but there's a mess on the island where he is siding with the creatures that Dr. Moreau creates. He ends up leaving the island, and he can't assimilate back into society because he perceives people differently. So he ends up going back to the island and living there like a hermit. And it looks to me like that's kind of an allusion to what is going on in that vision in her eye, in a way that those people are kind of living there like hermits because they can't seem to assimilate into society, and that perhaps Delphine is there with them. What do you think?
That's a pretty good possibility. Now, I had thought that it's also possible that the older gentleman with the beard,
Mm-hmm.
what if he's Delphine's father?
Yeah, that could be true.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, it makes perfect sense that if he was not one of the original Neolutionists, but a second or third generation Neolutionist, that yes, he could have decided to go back to the island and live as a hermit and had some of his followers go with him.
Right. And even still, that could still be an allusion to the island of Dr. Moreau.
Absolutely.
And it looked like she might have been there in that room because there was, a similar theme to that cabin she was in with the skin, the animal skin on the wall and the rustic surroundings and all that. And I wouldn't be surprised if she was actually there in that little hut that we saw in the vision. And, yeah, it definitely could be her dad. I could see that. And it really is clever how they don't actually steal from either of those mythologies, but they pay homage to them in such a way that it's like in love with both mythologies, but it's not stealing from either of them.
Right.
And I really love that if you know anything about them, it enhances your viewing. Like you understand what's going on and you feel like you're in on the joke a little bit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so to see them and to think, well, if that is an allusion to that and he's killing the swan, then he is actually, if he's part of Neolution, then he is rebelling against what started Neolution. Mm-hmm. Because Leda and the Swan was the purest form of Neolution.
Yes.
So if they're trying to give us that message subliminally, if we know about those two things, then that's a very powerful image indeed.
Yes.
So it's just something for you guys to ruminate on. If you know anything about those two stories. And I would highly recommend reading The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Oh, yes.
It's not the easiest book to read, but I think it's worth it to get through it. It's an interesting commentary on stuff that was happening at the time.
Yes.
So, yeah. It's well worth it. And to study up on Leda. I mean, it was about, Zeus and lots of very weird things. Very weird things. So yeah, that was cool. So let's talk about the main story in this episode. Yeah. Video caught the DNA star. How happy were you in this episode?
Oh, to see Evie go down the way she went down was It was jumping up and down and high-fiving and fist pumping, and it was just absolutely wonderful.
Like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But you really didn't know that it was happening until it happened, and you just went, "Oh, Rachel, you sly bee."
Right? It was one of those things where you just weren't sure until it was over.
And you still don't know what Rachel's plan is.
Right.
We know that she wanted to get rid of Evie, and she accomplished that, so.
Right. We know she's more on the side of justice than not. And whether that justice is in her favor is a whole different matter. She admitted in this episode that she doesn't really want to work with Sarah. She's not a huge fan, but she definitely doesn't want Evie to have anything to do with anything.
No.
So taking Evie down was in her best interests. It had nothing to do with Sarah. She was okay to undercut Sarah to backstab her and to not let her in on the plan. But I'm still kind of wondering where that's going to go.
Yes.
Now, we only have one more episode, so it can't really go too far. But it could be that she just steps in and takes over.
Mm-hmm.
That could very definitely happen.
Yes, it could.
That she just completely cuts out Susan and the rest of them and takes over Brightborn. So we'll have to see about that. And there's that part of the story, and then there is obviously the whole leading up to that, where Sarah and Art are doing their sleuthing job, and it was heartbreaking, just heartbreaking to see that young mother and her evidence.
Yeah.
Made me hurt.
Yes,
really.
It did. Yes.
Even though it's not real.
Yeah.
It still made me hurt. Yeah. And I really wonder sometimes, could this happen in real life? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to wonder.
Yeah.
It gives me the oogs.
Mm-hmm. It definitely takes you straight to, John Noble hosting, what was it, Weird Science or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Where you see what some of the stuff that they actually did way back in the 17 and 1800s, and you just go,
yeah, what could we be doing now?
Yeah.
Is the question. And knowing that there are people that would do all kinds of things in the name of science.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary thoughts indeed.
Yes.
And the fact that a TV show like this makes you ponder on that. Yeah. And to think that, Evie's an actress. So I hate the character of Evie. I don't hate the actress.
No, she's done a great job.
She's wonderful. The character, though, I have this blinding hatred of her. So imagine how I would feel towards someone who is actually doing things like that in real life. And that's what bothers me is, wow, if someone was really doing that in real life, I would hate them so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, that it makes us think about things, or at least it makes me think about things. And now I've passed that on to you. You're welcome. Yeah, I actually said something to Charles in the Fandom Zone this week, where I don't know if you're watching Outcast but it's a show where a little boy is taken away from his mother when he's like 12.
Right.
And then he comes back later as an adult, and he lives in his house that he was in when he was 12. And I said, so I wonder how he still has this house. And Charles went, why did you have to say that? Now it's going to bother me. Because, of course, they would have sold the house, right?
You would think, but...
And not just that, but, like, all the furniture's still in the house. And
well, same with Kendra.
Right.
Because that was a friend of the family who had died, and the house was just like somebody was living there.
Right. Exactly. So, I like to notice things like that and then put it in people's heads and make it bother them for weeks and weeks. And Charles is not happy with me over that. So you're welcome, everyone. Yeah, so that was a very satisfying storyline. I love that they took her down. I love the way they took her down. Kudos to Rachel. However, how is that going to shake out in the end?
Right. That is the main question now, is where does that put Rachel in the pecking order?
Right.
Are they actually, the board of directors of Neolution going to say, oh my God, Rachel, what a unbelievable discovery you made. We didn't know Evie was doing all this, and oh yes, please run our organization. Or
right. Well, she could blackmail them too. I mean, she could say, I'm going to take over, or I'm going to
reveal that you guys were funding all of this.
Right. I'm going to reveal that it went deeper than Evie.
Mm-hmm. And right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she could do things in many different ways.
Yes.
And she could also just completely bypass Susan, because we know there's not a whole lot of love lost there either.
No.
And what would that mean for Cosima and her research and Susan and all that? That would have other consequences. I don't think we're going to see much more on the cure front, because there's only one episode left, unfortunately. I think that's going to be saved for later, like another season, which is so frustrating to me. That book was very interesting.
Indeed it was.
Susan has shared that with Cosima. Does it seem like Susan thinks of Sarah and Cosima as more of her daughter than Rachel?
Yeah, I really think so, especially Cosima.
Right. She has a bit of a bond with Cosima, whereas I feel like she doesn't really like Rachel very much.
No.
That's troubling.
Yes.
Because that means Rachel feels slighted. And when Rachel feels slighted,
that's not good.
Yeah. Okay, so did I miss something in that storyline?
Well, I think it was the one big thing in that whole storyline, besides Rachel's ploy, was when the female EMT showed up and Art was able to take him down, and their conversation afterwards, because Sarah was ready to just take him out.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, oh, no. We're playing it straight this time.
Right.
We'll take him down to the precinct.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, oh, well, we'll be out by morning. And Art goes, well, I'll be very curious to see who gets you out.
Right. He wants to find out who's on the take. And of course it's the guy who was there with them at the other site.
Right. But I think he knows that now.
Yeah. Well, because these people showed up there.
Yeah.
So it's really that other guy. There's only that one guy who was in on that info.
Yep.
So we'll see where that goes. Yeah, you're right. That was an important thing. They really do need to know who's on the take in the Force. And Art's gonna clean it up, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, it's good. I would like to see him a bigger part.
Yes.
And a pretty much a sweeper in the, what is it, the Toronto PD?
Yep.
Is it Toronto? Is that where we are?
That's the assumption that, yes.
Yeah. So I'd like to see him clean things up. I mean, Dooku's gone. So, and how did you like that misstep? Them saying in front of Adele that,
I know, that was...
No need to worry about Dooku. What do you mean? 'Cause he's,
on leave, yeah.
So, here's a segue.
Absolutely, a great segue. Cause
you gotta have faith. Okay, so Adele's still here. And she has gotten Donnie released. I guess on bail?
Yes, on bail.
Okay, and he wants his conjugal. And how funny is it that he's Randy? He's ready for everything when he gets out.
Yeah.
And one of his lines also is, "Hold my undies, they're dirty." Which I did not put in our favorite quotes, but
no.
It was pretty funny that he just throws his undies. I almost named one of our storylines Donnie Goes Commando. But it didn't make sense in a secondary because he didn't really go commando. Helena went commando. But it would have been funny if he had done something. You know, if he had shot someone or something, it would have been fun.
And then once he goes, oh, okay, I'll back off. And how's the kids and how's the play going? And Alison tells him, she's having some issues with her faith. He goes, oh, I'll make you see God.
Right? Hilarious. I love them together.
Oh, God, yeah.
I love them together. And then, of course, we get, this scene later on in the show. Wow is all I can say. Cannot unsee.
No.
Like most of the scenes where they're together.
And wanting to have her calling the baddest man in the cell block, and he was so far from that.
Yeah. I know. He was a wimp in there, but, he wants to be all alpha on her.
Yeah.
So I get it. But they make a very cute couple.
And then as soon as it's over, she wants him to pray with her, and you just go, oh, God.
Right? Well, I wonder how good the sex is.
Yeah.
If she wants to pray afterwards. But they are very cute. I enjoy their time together. I think what she wanted is more time with Donnie. And so it had nothing to do with their sex. It had to do with them, her wanting to be with Donnie and to not have him go back to jail.
Right.
And so that's when they discussed going to Niagara, because then he wouldn't be leaving the country. So they were going to go to the Wet and Wild. And again, a funny line with, let's go to a water park. And he said, well, the last time we went to Wet and Wild, one of their kids got whatever, foot and mouth disease.
Yeah.
And she's like, that is not the point. We're going there to get away so that we can, maybe cross the border. She's trying to impart to him that they're trying to run.
Yeah.
And all he's focusing on is that she said they're going to a water park. Ugh, sometimes Donnie is so thick.
Yeah.
It really is. Now, they do have a meeting with Adele. And Adele is what seems to be a very competent lawyer. Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. If she can stay off the booze and the drugs for a little while, she probably is a fairly competent lawyer.
Right. Well, we know that was her issue.
Right.
Why she had some stumbling blocks there. So yeah, but she has taken care of some things for them. And, unfortunately, it looks like she might not be their lawyer for much longer. But I'm assuming that their trouble might be going away. So,
I think it probably will too.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes. But as it stands right now, Adele got him out on bail, and she chats with them. And I like that she is sitting there. She's drinking. She's going through his file. They're letting things slip by accident, of course, and she's asking Felix about everything, and she thinks how everything's hinky. And then, of course, they go back to Felix's place. Now, Donnie and Alison have their little interlude. They think they can get to the border.
Right.
I don't know what their plan was going to be after that, because they never get past that before the other half of the team that has gone to intercept Sarah shows up at their house.
Yes.
Now, we'll get into where Helena was before this in a second, but Helena shows up at exactly the right time. And I think it is, what site was it? It wasn't Variety, but there was a site that calls this Deus Ex Helena.
Yes.
Where she shows up at exactly the right time.
Yes. I think that was it Entertainment Weekly or?
I don't remember, but it was hilarious.
Yes.
It was. I read 3 different recaps this week, and when they said they're calling it Deus Ex Helena, I laughed out loud. It was so good. Just right on the money that she shows up exactly when it's necessary to say.
Yes. Shout out to the AV Club.
Oh, was it the AV Club?
It was the AV Club.
Excellent. All right. So, yeah, I didn't want to steal that for myself. I wanted to give them credit for it. So, AV Club, thank you for the use of Deus Ex Helena. Oh, fantastic. So she shows up right on time. They have Donnie with a knife to his throat. They're threatening them, and Helena shows up just in time to make sure that the bot does not go into Alison, takes him down. So one half of the team is in jail, and the other half is DEAD dead. And Helena's back.
Yes.
With the Helixes. And you put a line here, which is one of your quotes, and I'll read it for those of you who enjoy my Helena. Let me see if I can get it. Donnie Hendrik, you look like a roast pig. How's that?
That's very good.
Did I do okay?
Yes.
Good. Donnie Hendrik. I like when she says it like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, she unties him, and I'm assuming they have a nice family reunion at that point.
I would think so.
Yeah, and hopefully there will be less jealousy on Alison's part, because Helena really does love them.
Oh, yeah.
She loves her sisters, and I think she has a very, very happy place in her heart for Donnie. For you are like Bear. I like Big Bear. She likes him very much. So, I think she likes all of her sisters. And it'll be nice that she's back with them and that we get to see her next week. Yay. And she looks very pregnant.
Yes.
Finally.
And, of course, that deleted scene they showed during one of the commercial breaks was, I can't believe they cut this, but it was so awesome. We see Helena hunting and she kills a deer and she just throws the thing over her shoulder and starts hiking back to
right?
her igloo, and we see a car come by with a family and 2 young children who end up freaking out.
You're right.
It's Sasquatch!
Right.
First, oh, it's a deer. Oh no, it's Sasquatch!
Right. Because she's got all that fur on and she's kind of hunched over. Yeah. So great. And I love her igloo, her little,
yes!
Her, shrub brush igloo. It's so great. I have my own place.
Yeah.
So wonderful. I love her chat with Sarah, and she knows innately that there's something wrong.
Yes. Sarah cannot lie to Helena.
Yeah, she can't. She tries.
Yes, but Helena knows.
Yeah, she does know. She knows, and especially when she mentions the Hendrixes.
Yeah.
She knows. And you can see right there that soft spot that Helena has for the Hendrixes, because she mentions them by name.
Yes.
And as soon as she realizes there's something going on, she just drops everything. You know, she leaves. I have my own place. She leaves her own place and off she goes. And I like how when Sarah asks how are the babies, and they are fighting like us.
Yes.
So cute. So cute.
And of course she doesn't help poor Felix with Adele, because she just walks in and Adele goes, another one?
Right.
And the way they tried to...
Yeah, let's go there. This is exclusivity clause. Yeah, there's a bit of a catfight here.
Oh, yeah.
Between Adele and Helena.
And Adele would have lost.
Big time. I don't think Adele understands. Yeah, I don't think Adele understands the danger in confronting Helena. Helena hissed at her, for one thing.
Yes.
And Adele said something like, are you getting up at my face, triplet?
A little triplet.
Right. And she goes, like that. It was so good. But man, she is not happy to see this. Adele wanted a brother.
Yes.
And to see that he's got this whole family and it's complicated and she's not going to be a part of it is, it's not comforting.
No.
She's not happy with it.
No.
And she wants to know what is going on. And I don't know about you, but I think it's smart that Felix doesn't let her in and says, you know, you're untouched by all this and I want to keep you that way. Right?
Exactly. Yes. I totally agree, but I still don't think it's going to happen.
No, you think she's going to find out?
Yes.
You think she's going to dig?
Yes. She's a lawyer. That's what lawyers do.
Yeah. Yeah, she does.
I would love to see her walk into Crystal's beauty salon.
Right?
And hear Crystal tell her the story.
Oh, right. Yeah, see, and Adele might assume that Crystal knows, yes. And that would be how Crystal finds out. That would be interesting. That would be an interesting development. For next season, it would have to be next season, obviously, but that would be a great way to get her in the know.
Yes.
Nice. Very nice. I like that.
Thank you.
But yeah, she's not happy about this whole thing. And I like how she says, so, same womb, but, different nations in the
countries inside.
Right. And of course she knows Felix is lying to her.
Right.
But she doesn't know how, she doesn't get it, and she's not gonna get it. Unless Felix lays it all out. She's not gonna understand. No. She's gonna have to do some serious digging.
Yes.
To find out anything. And, Felix does the noble thing and says, you don't want to know. No. You really don't. So you should just go.
Yes.
And, yeah. She goes, but, it's not willingly.
No, and of course she hits him with the genetics don't really make a family, does it, line?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you see
Ouchie.
How much that pained Felix.
It does hurt Felix. Because that's what he was looking for, was a family. And what he really found out was his family was there the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah. And all he had to do was reach out and grab it. It was there. And yeah, they might be a pain in his ass, but they were there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately. He gets what he gets. And I really do want to know whether he is closer to them. I don't know. It's just me wanting to find a real connection between Felix and the rest of them.
Right.
But yeah. What did I miss?
Oh, let's see. Charlotte and Cosima.
Oh, yes. They had a little chat about how they were both sick.
Yes.
So there's
and of course, Charlotte shows her favorite page of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Which just happened to be a map of the island.
Right.
How convenient.
Right. Right. And that means that if Delphine is on the island, she'll have a map. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's that. And they bonded over the fact that they're both sick.
Yes. And their hair.
Yeah. Right. And their hair. How do you wash your hair? Well, I don't. Although she probably does.
Yes.
It's just, you just wash your scalp, I know this because I have curly hair and I have toyed with the idea of getting dreadlocks or braids in the past. Although it would take hours and hours and hours to get it done because I have a very thick hair. So there's that. And there's also the fact that she has impregnated the egg.
Yes. They should have the zygote soon.
Right. I didn't mention that, but they haven't really gotten very far on that. They fertilized it.
Yes, they got it fertilized and.
Right. And Susan seems to be very optimistic.
Yes.
Which is good. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything.
What did you think about Ira in this episode?
I am not in love with Ira. I don't know about you. I'm really not.
Is he playing a Felix type of character to Rachel? Is he becoming Rachel's sidekick?
Maybe. And
in a real twisted sort of way.
Well, the one thing I did like is that he was helping Rachel with the whole, undercutting of Evie. But the fact that he didn't let the other people, he didn't let Cosima and Sarah in on it was an issue. Mm-hmm. He didn't let Sarah and Felix in on it.
Right.
All he had to say is, don't worry about it. We're taking Evie down.
Right.
But he didn't. He was all cagey. And that was for us, obviously.
Yes.
It was, taking down the fourth wall. It was for us to not know what was going on. But it makes him look sketchy.
Yes.
So this is why I'm not a huge fan of Ira, because he looks sketchy.
But he wears slacks.
I know. I don't know. I love the actor. I think he's great. And the fact that he can do this nuanced role, he's so different from any of the other clones.
Yes.
He's so good. But I think Ira is the creepiest of the cast of And this is coming from someone who has done Rudy.
Yeah.
But see, I love Mark.
Right.
After he got away from his little
brothers,
cult.
yeah.
Mark turned out to be a really decent person, but Ira's he has the creep factor. So I'm not a huge fan. Although he seems to just be putting up with Rachel to a certain extent because it furthers his, I'm not going to say agenda because I don't think he has an agenda.
Well, except that he does want to get healed.
Right.
And that will be the thing, I think, that will turn him against Rachel.
Right. Because
Rachel's not going to care about getting healed until she gets sick.
Right. And she certainly doesn't care about Ira getting healed.
No.
Because he's a caster clone.
Exactly.
He's not a Lita clone. So that's a whole different ball of wax. And we've seen that is not her bailiwick.
Right. So it could be that Ira does end up playing a huge role in taking Rachel down.
Right. So he may be on our side after all. Our side.
Yeah.
Because we know if Rachel turns, she won't be on our side.
Exactly.
She'll be on the other side. Yeah. Although, I don't know. Is it going to be Ira that turns on us? Because we decide not to heal the caster clones?
It could be.
Yeah. I mean, he's on an island of one.
I think that's really why he developed the partnership with Rachel to begin with.
Right. Yeah, it's very complicated, but we'll find out in just a few days.
Yes.
Scary. And I cannot wait to find out about that little commune on the island.
Yeah.
Because I really want to see how they pay homage to those two mythologies, I guess. I mean, the island of Dr. Moreau isn't really a mythology, but it's, it's a story. It's, I'll call it a mythology, sure. I guess. Yeah, so there's that. And we have some quotes. You said the genetics doesn't really make a family, does it? By Adele.
Yeah.
And I have Felix saying, well, you did just mix mood stabilizers with gin, darling. And Adele answers, that's brunch, which I loved. You really don't like each other, do you? And then Rachel says back, she put a pencil in my brain. Yep, she sure did. Ira, you fertilized my sister's eggs for science. You don't get to speak too, Felix says. And of course, the line from Helena, Donny Hendrik, you look like a roast pig. I love that. Daddy needs his conjugal baby by Donnie. And then, Donnie, our lives are imploding and all you can think about is your stiffy. By Alison. So good. Great lines in this episode. Really good.
Oh, yeah. We probably could have doubled it easily.
Oh, yeah. We could have. So good. It was really a wonderful episode.
Yes, it was. It's always a wonderful episode when we get to take down a bad guy.
Oh, yes. 100%. And Evie Doubly so.
Yes.
She is probably one of my very most hated enemies of all time on TV. Just because of how smug she is.
Yes.
I hate that. I hate it. It makes my eyes twitch.
Uh-huh.
She's just so freaking smug about everything. She knows she's going to win, and I loved seeing the look on her face when Rachel...
All the questions started coming from...
Right, and Rachel was looking at her from across the room like, haha, I got you. And that was really satisfying.
Yeah, that little Mona Lisa smile.
It really was. Now, where it goes from now, that's, of course, the question.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. We do have some feedback.
Woohoo!
Our feedback sound effect. So let's play that. It is Justina. She has some nice things to say this week.
Hi, Karen and Steve. Wow, that was good. That was so good. I give that episode 10 out of 10 beaver hats not bought in the store. My favorite part? Helena, of course. She is back, and she is back in fine form, with her quick lines and her quick actions, which saved Alison from one of those terrible first-generation bots. I totally love that the music director never forgets to put that little Helena theme in every time she bursts in and does something violent. I'm proud of Rachel for working with the team, though I must admit I had my doubts at different parts of the episode of whether she was going to play nice or not. Yeah. I'm still confused about who the man in Rachel's visions are, and hope that that will become clear in the finale. I like the consistency and callbacks that this show has, where we saw the two guys from the ambulance in the premiere episode this season. They attacked Sarah a few episodes back, and now are after the Hendrixes in this episode, but Helena took care of that. I just love the way they carry themes and characters through a whole season like that, even somewhat minor ones, because I consider them minor. I don't even really know what their names were. I don't want them to kill Cosima just as soon as we find Delphine. Cosima is my favorite clone, and I don't want to see her go. We seem to be getting so close to a cure, either through the blast cell that was made in this episode, or possibly that second-generation bot that Evie Cho was going to get to cure her immunodeficiencies. All I've got to say is, however you've got to do it, please save Cosima. Catch you later, Clone Club.
Agreed.
Yes.
Cosima has to live.
Yeah,
Save
especially
Cosima.
If Delphine is also on the island.
Right.
That would just be way too tragic.
Yes.
To find out, have Delphine find out that Cosima's there and to get there and she's too late.
And not in time, yeah.
That would be, God.
Yeah, I would cry for a day.
Yes.
I really would.
That would be like taking a Helena arrow through the heart.
It would be. It would be. And she really does not look good, Cosima.
No.
They need
to hurry.
Yeah, they really do need to hurry. Now, having Susan there is a blessing because I do think Susan can help her.
Yes.
So let's cross our fingers that can work in our favor. She seems content to let Cosima do the heavy lifting, but I think if Cosima gets worse, she would be happy to kind of swoop in and take over. And I do see that she wants the cure, if not for Cosima, Charlotte.
Right.
But I do think she kind of is bonding with Cosima as well. So it's a good thing. I don't see Susan as a huge enemy at this point.
Right. They still have the ethical issue, but I think the more time that Susan spends with Cosima, I have a feeling Cosima can kind of change her mind a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Well, for one thing, Susan sees the damage
Right.
that her experiments have done to humans, that she sees that, you know, Charlotte and Cosima aren't experiments. They're human beings.
Yes.
And she sees the damage that has been done and the pain that they're going through. And the closer she gets to them, she realizes they're not experiments. They're human beings. And if she can cure them, then she will. And maybe she'll think twice about doing, you know, playing with fire again.
Right.
So I think she's changed through all this. And Rachel doesn't have that same thought.
No.
She still may want to have a way to procreate.
Yes.
And ultimately, that's kind of her thing. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah. So thanks, Justina. And I agree, it was a really good one. Really
Yes,
good
it
one.
was. And thank you so much for being here all season long with us and giving us such great feedback, Justina.
Agreed. And how can everyone else do that?
Well, our deadline is Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern, and there are several ways you can get a hold of us. You can jump on the Facebook and go to facebook.com/Felix's Helixes. Or you can
By the way, Steve, I got a comment through a direct message on Facebook with someone saying, "Thank you for correcting him." But, you know, it's all in good fun, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's our email address?
It's felixeshelixes@gmail.com.
Yay.
And you can also tweet at us at Felix's Helixes, at Oliveria, or at Salyer Steve.
That is correct. Perfect. Even the forward slashes.
Only took me 8 episodes to get it right.
You can also say slash.
Yeah, I could have, but...
Yeah. I always say forward slash just because it's ingrained in my brain that way.
Yeah, wasn't a computer science major, so it never...
Yeah. See, and that's why it is.
Yes, I know.
Oh.
I know why I do it.
Right, exactly.
Everybody else might not, but I do.
Right. And I do have some spoilers. The pictures aren't out yet. I checked again today. As soon as they're out, I'll put them up on the website. I don't know how close to episode time they will be putting them out for the finale. Right. Because, you know, they hold those really close to the vest. And this is Sunday, again, Sunday night, so they're not out yet.
Right.
I'll check again every day this week to see when they're out. But the summary is up, and it is From Dancing Mice to Psychopaths is the title of the episode.
You gotta love that title.
I do. I love it. And it has so many permutations.
Yes.
Season 4, episode 10, and it will air on June 16th, 2016 at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. I'll give you that. When communication with Cosima is cut off and Neolution appears to be within striking distance, Sarah's alliance with Rachel goes out the window. Sarah lures a high-level Neolutionist into a trap and sets out to bring down Neolution once and for all. And then I've also heard other reports from insider people, like, you know, reviewers and things like that, that we will be learning about what Delphine has been doing and why she has been hiding out in the next episode. So we're going to learn a lot about her self-imposed asylum.
Maybe.
No, not maybe. We are.
Okay.
That's what they say. But we're going to be learning a lot about that in the next episode.
And from the preview, guess who finds Rachel?
I don't know. I didn't see it. Who does?
Ferdinand.
Yay, I was just going to ask if he was back in this episode.
Yes, he will be back in the finale.
I love James Frayne. I love him. So yay. I was going to ask if he was coming back this season. Yay. I love Ferdinand. And see, he's the cleanup guy.
Uh-huh.
So hooray. So is he the high-level neo-illusionist? Or is he the...
I don't think so.
Okay, so he's just going to go...
He may help Rachel get into a position of power, though. Especially if Sarah takes down one high-level neo-illusionist, then there can't be that many more that Ferdinand can't take down, and Rachel becomes default.
Right. Right. We'll have to see. But yay for James Frayne.
Yes.
I love him. I really do. I have such a love affair with him as a character actor. He's so good. I cannot wait. And then I can because it's the last episode and we need more. We need more.
10 episodes go too fast.
Give us 13 next season, BBC America. Please.
Exactly.
13 or 18. Or more.
Yeah.
100. No, they can't do 100. I would take 13, though. 13 would be a nice amount. We could do more.
Sure.
Yeah. But next week sounds amazing.
Yes.
I can't wait. And James Frayne. Yay. Thumbs up. I'm glad you said that. Okay, so I guess we will talk to you guys next week. And I'll talk to you next week, Steve.
Yes, you will.
So that is it for us.
All
Bye,
right.
guys.
Because it wasn't pertinent, I'm not a gossip.
Goodbye, Clone Club. Nice.